Brussels sprouts are the most popular vegetable holiday side dish out there because they are absolutely delicious. Everybody likes them if they're made right. So in this video, I want to show you my Kung Pao Brussels sprouts. These are absolutely mouth-watering, little sweet, little heat, and so good. So if you're looking for an alternative Brussels sprout recipe for your next holiday dinner, this is it. Before I get into the recipe video, check the description box below, all the ingredients down there. But enough talking, let's get cooking. The Brussels sprout, probably one of my favorite vegetables, if not the favorite vegetable. And I love them because they're so delicious. They get super duper crispy, and everyone seems to like them, although people talk about them like they're yucky. I don't really think so. So with these Brussels sprouts, we're going to clip off the bottom of them and any leaves that come off, and then we're going to set them aside in the bowl. Any leaves that come off initially, we're going to set aside because they're probably a little gross on the outside. But anything beyond that, we're going to throw in the bowl because it's really nice when those loose leaves crisp up on the baking sheet. We don't have a lot of prep for this recipe, but we do have to cut the shallots while we got our knife and our cutting board out. So we're going to thinly slice these shallots, and we're going to take them and we're going to fry them in some oil and make them nice and crispy. Crispy shallots are such a nice touch to this dish. So now let's season our Brussels sprouts with a few tablespoons of olive oil. And as I'm working with the oil and the spices, like my base seasoning here, which is a blend of garlic powder, onion powder, salt, and pepper, there's a link to the video recipe in the description. We're going to give a toss to the Brussels sprouts. Also, I'm going to put in some of this Cajun seasoning, which is like a blackening seasoning. I think the flavor profile works really well to supplement the base seasoning, and you can see how I'm tossing around the bowl, trying to get space in between the Brussels sprouts for the spices. Here is a really nice spice. This is an Asian 5-spice powder. I'm only going to put a little bit in there as this stuff is super duper potent. You just want to add a couple notes of flavor. Now I'm going to get in there with my hands and mix it all around till the spices and oil evenly coat the Brussels sprouts, and we're going to spread them out on a baking sheet. I've gotten away from flipping the Brussels sprouts so they're all cut side up. We're just going to toss them around and make sure some are up, some are down, and the loose leaves. We're going to give it a light spray of oil just to get rid of any dry spots, and these are going to go in a 375-degree oven for anywhere between 30 to 40 minutes or until they're nice and crispy brown. While those are in the oven, we'll have plenty of time to prep the rest of our other ingredients. So here I'm going to slice some scallion greens, and this is a really nice trick that I've been using recently in addition to other ways that I used to store the scallion greens. And this I got from another YouTuber. This is made with Lao, a really nice home cooking Asian-based YouTube channel. And what they do is they take a wet paper towel and wrap the bottom of the scallion so that the wet paper towel is in contact with the roots of the scallions, and then you'll just take the wet paper towel wrap scallions and put them inside of a plastic bag, and we'll store it in the fridge like this. And I do find this is an effective way to store scallions in between using just a little bit. Here's an ingredient that we've been seeing a lot of lately in some of my recent videos. These are some pickled Calabrian chili peppers. They are great for adding acidity and heat at the same time. I really love these peppers. And all we got to do is snap the top off of each one of them. So we're just going to use the pepper, and we don't need the stem. Now that the Brussels sprouts are in the oven, let's go over on the stove. We're going to make our glaze, and we're also going to crisp up those shallots. So hopefully we get everything done all at the same time, so then we can assemble everything after the Brussels sprouts are done. When I went to the store, they were out of sweet chili sauce, so I'm going to improvise here and use a sweet and sour sauce to get a little bit of that sweetness that I would get from the sweet chili sauce, and then I'm going to put some of this chili garlic paste. I know it's not the same thing, but I think we're going to get a really similar flavor profile. You could skip these two ingredients and just use a sweet chili paste. Now I'm also going to put in a little bit of sriracha for some additional heat. We're also going to put in some hoisin sauce. That's going to add a really nice umami flavor and an additional sweetness. We're also going to put in a little bit of soy sauce. That's going to add even another depth of umami flavor. And for acidity, we're going to put in some rice wine vinegar. To finish this dish, we're going to add in some sesame oil. It's going to really add a nice authentic Asian flavor. And then over a low heat, we're just going to stir until all of the sauces and flavors come together. And then we're just going to take this off the heat, maybe 5 minutes or so. We got our sauce all done and ready. Let's crisp up those shallots. So I got this frying pan hot over a medium-high heat, and I'm covering the whole bottom of the pan with olive oil. Now I'm going to throw the shallots in there, and I can clearly see there's not enough oil inside this pan, so I'm going to add more oil until most of the shallots are covered, and I might have to put even a little bit more once these get going. So what I'm looking for is to see if there's frying going on. You can clearly see the bubbling going on inside the pan. Nothing's getting burned. It's just going to get brown. So I needed to add just a touch more oil because anything that's not covered in oil is not going to fry. Now I'm going to really gently and easily move these around the pan periodically until we're getting nice, even browning on all of the sides of the shallots. And you can clearly see these are about evenly brown. So I'm going to use this slotted spoon and remove these super crispy shallots. Look how delicious these things look. You could eat them like potato chips. And we're going to throw them inside of a bowl with some paper towel to absorb any of the excess oil so these get crispy and not soggy. Our Brussels sprouts are done, so we're going to pull those out of the oven, and you know that they're done when they have this beautiful orangish brownish color over the top, and any of the loose leaves are nice and crispy. Look at both sides of these. Outstanding. Great flavor there. After these have cooled down for about 5 or 10 minutes, we're going to throw them inside a bowl. That's going to allow the outsides to get crispy. We're going to add a couple handfuls of the shallots. We're going to reserve a little bit to throw on after. And now we're going to pour on some of our glaze a little bit at a time. We don't want to overdress it. If we do have any leftover glaze, you can use this stuff for anything, maybe chicken marinade or something like that later in the week. And now we're going to toss our Brussels sprouts using the roundness of the bottom of the bowl so they're nice and coated without getting too damaged. Once we're getting nice coating of the sauce on the Brussels sprouts, we're going to put these inside of a serving dish. Look how amazing and delicious these things look. And now we're going to sprinkle on the rest of those crispy shallots. Here are some of those pickled Calabrian chili peppers. And I don't want to add too many. If you really like spicy, you can go all out and dump the whole thing on there. And we're also going to put some of these roasted peanuts on there. The last garnish we're going to throw on there is going to be those scallion greens from before. It's going to add a really nice pop of color to finish this dish. It's also going to add a fresh element. And now look how amazing these Brussels sprouts look. Take a picture after you put them on the table because there aren't going to be any leftovers left. They're so good. These Brussels sprouts look absolutely amazing. I am super excited to try them. You know, Brussels sprouts are one of these really versatile vegetables that came out of nowhere because when I was a kid, they were absolutely gross. Nobody liked them. Now all of a sudden, they're the trendiest thing ever and they can take on all kinds of preparations just like this. So let's get a nice big spoonful. Make sure we get a little bit of everything. And even though this is gonna wreck my digestive system, let's get some of them chili peppers in there. Let's go with one nice bite. We'll get a little chili pepper on there. We'll get some of the Brussels sprouts and make sure we'll get a peanut. I can't go 2 peppers, that would be way too much. All right, here we go. That is so good. The sweet and heat go together so well, and I really like that combo. And these pickled chili peppers, that little bit of vinegar, oh man. And you got perfect contrast between the crispy shallots, the Brussels sprouts, and the peanuts who give it like a real big crunch. Don't let these Brussels sprouts sit around too long because if they do, they're gonna get soggy and you're gonna miss out on all these different textures. I absolutely love Brussels sprouts. If you're looking for alternative Brussels sprout dishes, you don't want to make the same old Brussels sprouts, and you've already made my bacon and Brussels sprouts too many times, or maybe you don't eat meat and you want to do it without the bacon, this is a great and unbelievable recipe. While I'm finishing the rest of these Brussels sprouts, if you're into Brussels sprouts, check out my bacon and Brussels sprouts recipe, and if you're into Asian flavors, check out my seared ahi tuna bowl. That's a really nice Asian style recipe too. Thanks, see you there.